multiple rounds of enemy guys coming out at you, and to defeat these guys. And you basically have, we're going to implement 3 different attacks. I know you said projectile items, but we only got one.
So, yeah, okay, so but, our character there, but basically there's melee attacks and ranged attacks, and then there are 3 different levels of each of those kinds of things. And it balances out with speed and things. So our whole idea for the increasing difficulty and like surviving and getting more difficult was this genetic algorithm. So the stats, like the internal stats and how strong the enemies are, would scale up depending on how you play. We didn't get to finishing the algorithm itself. We built the skeleton, so
we have the algorithm actually working. It's just not actually mapped to these characters.
So like it would see how many, like there'd be timed rounds, and during the round a certain number of enemies would spawn, and based on how many were left, the engine would see the stats of the remaining enemies, and then it would see those traits that survived better, and then like basically pass that on to the next generation to make the next generation tougher, like giving them some of those traits that were better. So like more and more rounds go on, their stats kind of increase exponentially, and we also had a randomized factor, a mutation factor. So a certain percentile of the enemies that would spawn in the round would
what are the traits though?
So
what are some of the traits?
So like how much health they do, how much health they have, and how much damage their melee attack deals, and their range attack deals, and also how fast they are, so how fast they'll be able to.
And as well as what color they're going to be, and there's going to be multiple backgrounds. So
yeah, we're going to have multiple color system. Right?
Yeah, green, red, blue, yellow, and then the enemies. And then the enemies will have colors allocated for the different.
So that would be another element to it. So like on our green stage, you think like more green enemies like blending in with the background kind of thing would survive more. So it also, one of the traits you'd see at the end of the round would be how many of a certain color survive the most, and then it would spawn more of those. Or how many of a certain weapon type, like more melee guys survive at the end. So then. So melee is obviously doing better, so it's spawn more melee because that's doing more well against the player. So survival of the fittest.
We were thinking of like Darwin's moths, where there was the black moths that survived when it was all sooty in the city, and then when that was like cleaned up, then the white moths would flourish and such. And so that kind of sparked the idea of having different colored enemies. And then it fit perfectly into the genetic algorithm because you would hopefully see that if you had a red background, or red that the red guys would be the harder guys to see, and so they'd live longer or be chosen as.
So with the genetic algorithm and the idea of different passing on of traits and things, and the fact that it's a kind of survive as long as you can before you die, or get to the end, beat all the rounds, survival of the fittest.
But the coolest thing that I would like to see is once we get it plugged in, we're going to finish it this week, next weekend. But the coolest thing is we don't know exactly if the genetic algorithm is going to work out how we intuitively think, right? So you might end up figuring out that actually yellow on red, it wins out better than red. So
I think you're going to end up with slow enemies because
slow enemies, yeah,
because they're going to be the ones who are hiding behind the others.
Yeah, exactly. And so that the unpredictable things, the traits that you wouldn't necessarily intuitively think come out of that algorithm for you. So, but yeah, so just so that we had demo, we would actually put it in because we didn't want to do the bugging. But the algorithm works. The algorithm does work, and it populates and creates different rounds of enemies and tunes them.
So we mapped it buttons to the 360 controller for spawning an enemy, for a melee attack, and for a range attack. Pretty straightforward.
Good job.